Hey gang, what is going on? Juan back here once again with Straight from the Underground, here to talk about Lucha Underground Season 2, Episode 6. Now, before I do so, I do want to remind you that our sponsor giveaway, courtesy of Gemmer.com, ends this Sunday, March 6th, and the winner will be announced next week on the March 8th edition of the podcast. Now, you can watch this video for a lot more information, or hit the I for even more information, and by more, I mean the exact same information in two different ways. But yeah, Undertaker collectible 21-in-1 inside of a wooden coffin. Now we've talked about that. Now let's talk about this. Lucha Underground. I mentioned last week, we had two matches that were scheduled to happen here. They did occur. I will be talking about them. Overall impressions. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a stronger episode than the previous week. The previous week, we had some inconclusive finishes. We had some segments that were pretty cool, but it was pretty much a build-up to this episode, which is building up to other ones. But the main event here, easily one of the best just matches that we've gotten so far. Now, going from top to bottom, the show did start out with a segment between Marty the Moth and Sexy Starr. He's had the whole kidnapping situation going on with her, but she's actually going to be in a match, so she has been set loose to the world and was going to battle Kobra Moon, which I mentioned previously that I was not a big fan of. We also got a pretty cool segment between Muertes and Katrina. I love the cinematic feel with this because he's the man of 1,000 deaths and he's the current Lucha Underground champion. They really try to go out of their way to differentiate his segments from everybody else's, from the color. All of these things are just outstanding, and him and Katrina just have tremendous chemistry that even though not a lot is said, there doesn't need to be a lot of dialogue when the screen and the imagery speaks for itself. Now, getting to the first match, we have Sexy Starr taking on Kobra Moon. Sexy being one of the first people that I ever saw on Lucha Underground way back in Season 1, battles Kobra Moon, one of the new female competitors that is part of the Temple, and she was at the very beginning of this season. Mentioned I was not a huge fan of her. Honestly, that doesn't really change a lot here. She won the match courtesy of the Dragon Sleeper. I think that's a cool move. I like the submission sort of combination between both, trying to just out-submission each other at the end. But just something about the way Kobra Moon wrestles I'm not a big fan of, especially inside the Temple where most people are just so crisp, so clean and clear when it comes to the wrestling ability. I got a couple of comments when Kobra Moon actually debuted, and apparently she's been wrestling for a little over a year. Now, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Please do yourself a favor and help me out by leaving a comment, just sort of clarifying that, because I couldn't find too much information about that. Next up, we have a segment between Rey Mysterio and the protege, the man he is training to become the top athlete, the top competitor in Lucha Underground. And I love how they're treating Rey Mysterio. They're not just having him show up and wrestle, because honestly, he would just become part of the roster. And we know that Rey Mysterio is way past his prime, and he can do something way more unique and just great by doing something like this, where it's just training, showing the moves, and they're showing a lot more just martial arts. I don't know if that's the correct term, but just the way that he's training the other guy. I don't know why I'm doing this right now. That's not what they're doing at all there. But the fact of the matter is that Rey Mysterio is preparing him for something. What? I am not sure. That being said, it would be cool if they actually show up as a tag team or something at the beginning, where maybe Rey Mysterio doesn't get a lot of tags, but he can sort of be like, man, that's not working. Let me show you how it's done. Quick tag out. Rey, your knees, please. Please. People make enough fun about your knees. I want you to stay healthy, stay in Lucha Underground, and keep doing this, because Rey Mysterio is not somebody that we exactly remember for promos or segments. He's known for his match and wrestling ability, but at Lucha Underground, they're actually using him for all of these things that we don't know him for, and it's working, because once again, the cinematic feel allows a lot of room to sort of fix or to sort of cover what may not work. You have the music, you have the cinematic, just the camera style, you have all these camera cuts, so you're able to just demonstrate the emotion through a motion picture, something that wrestling doesn't really take advantage of a lot. TNA tried that for a little while. People made fun of it. I think it works here, and as opposed to the other ones where they felt really campy and sort of B-roll, I mentioned that before, even though I like that, I think that this was serious without it being overly serious. Next up, we are treated to yet another segment, this time featuring the current Gift of the Gods champion, King Cuerno, who will be defending his championship at the main event of this episode. And I like this because unlike the other one where you're hearing Rey Mysterio speak live as you see him training, this is full-on voiceover. You see King Cuerno just sitting down, talking about people saying that, you know, they think like he's just out there for the blood. His ultimate goal is like the death of your prey. He will soon be a god. I love these outrageous accusations, or not really accusations, but just sort of the way they see themselves. They're not wrestlers. They are just gods almost. And inside this temple, I was going to bring this up later, but one thing that really sells this point for me is the way that Matt Striker talks about not just them, but the audience. The WWE has the WWE Universe. The Lucha Underground Temple has the believers. They believe that these men are gods inside the ring, that these female competitors are goddesses inside that ring. And that is such a key component. I've talked about Vampiro, how I'm not a huge fan of his style. That doesn't really change with this, but it goes to show how with a couple of key things, like little insignificant things almost, and commentator can really get the point across. And for that, I give Matt Striker a lot of credit because you can just feel the wrestling fandom inside himself, and the way he transmits that in commentary comes across really well. It is now time to talk about the second match of the night, one that was also built up last week. It is Prince Puma versus Pentagon Jr., a Lucha Underground dream match. And we got to see that dream match right from the get-go. You could feel the chemistry. You could tell that this was going to be a very special match. And now what happens? The Lucha Underground champion comes down. Remember what happened at the beginning of the season. His arm was broken, courtesy of Pentagon Jr. Now, Muertes, man, he is... Look, I talked about Cage and Brock Lesnar last week, and here he pulled the Brock Lesnar, or maybe The Rock, when like the Rock broke the cast in the Fast movies. He reveals that he is perfectly healthy and good to go, goes inside the ring, and destroys both men. That is how you get across as being the champion. A champion that maybe doesn't defend every single week. You know, you have the whole arm as a reason for that. But when he goes into the ring, he's able to destroy two of the top guys in the company. Now, that right there tells you, like, okay, there's a reason why he doesn't defend every single episode. It's because he only wrestles the best of the best at their best. Now he's good and ready to go, and we find out that next episode, he will be defending the championship against Prince Puma and Pentagon Jr. Now, is it going to be a triple threat match? Is it going to be some kind of special gauntlet match? They didn't go into detail, so I'm just going to take it as a triple threat match, and if that's the case, I'm really looking forward to this. What I'm wondering is, are they going to have another inconclusive finish? I hope not, because we've gotten those within the past two episodes, you know, with a match that didn't involve these guys in the previous one. But I hope that it's not always an excuse to just build up to yet another match. I'm perfectly okay with maybe Pentagon Jr. losing and with Muertes getting the pin, because I think Prince Puma's going to be, they're going to protect him a lot. This guy is just amazing. There's not really anything else I can say about Prince Puma. The man is insanely talented. Now, if the triple threat match announcement was not big enough, here's yet another one. Aztec Warfare is coming back, not next week, but in 3 weeks' time. We will have 20 of the greatest fighters participating in this match. Now, I did not see the original Aztec Warfare in the first season. I believe they have it on their YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you haven't, make sure to subscribe to El Rey Network's YouTube channel, because they have a lot of full-length Lucha Underground matches. So maybe you don't have El Rey Network, maybe you don't have Sling TV or something, but you like to watch these reviews to sort of stay up to date with the product, but you still want to actually watch the matches. then yeah, subscribe to their channel. And another thing is that Lucha Underground is now available on iTunes, so you can purchase the episodes from both the first and the second season. So if you want to show your support as to why just Lucha Underground should not be this underground wrestling company, but should be cherished, should be acknowledged as a A-class product, show your support. Get it. Or at least get, a pair of Johnny Mundo glasses. I mean, I got this at WrestleCrate, but, regardless, show your love somehow. And that's still awesome. I'm still not over this thing. And now it is main event time. A ladder match for the Gift of the Gods Championship. King Cuerno defended against Fenix, who is now your new Gift of the Gods champion. This was a little bit unexpected. I honestly thought that King Cuerno was going to retain, but I guess because we got an inconclusive finish to the previous match, maybe they wanted to make sure that this episode ended on a more positive note with the babyface getting the win. And I'm proud to say that there was a definite babyface in this match. King Cuerno is obviously the heel, but the match, what actually happened into it, made a ladder match make sense. Now, we've talked about this in the podcast, and I know a lot of people make fun of this. In WWE and other companies, when you have a ladder match, when it's time to climb up, all of a sudden, there's this gravity. It's like, for every time gravity forgets about Neville, they take it out on anybody climbing up a ladder, and they just can't climb. Like, it is so heavy, they can't deal with it. And in here, they sort of realized that. So they actually just had a match where they were beating the living hell out of each other to the point that whenever it is that they actually climbed the ladder, it was with a purpose. You actually felt, okay, enough things have happened to the point where the match could actually end here. And all of the things that happened on the outside, inside the ring, were amazing. At one point, Fenix just did this crazy, just a dive over the ladder onto King Cuerno, and the crowd erupted. It was a highly athletic bout, but they actually took their time. Now, last week, I talked about how I enjoyed that some episodes start with a fast-paced match and progressively go slower. This match showed that you can have both a fast-paced match that is also slow, if it makes sense, because it started out fast, but there was a lot of selling. Because the whole point was that you don't want the other guy to be able to climb up the ladder. And they were able to really get that message across. Now, I'm not going to say this was the best ladder match ever. I'm not sure it would make it to my top 5. But it's one of my favorite Lucha Underground matches so far because it's able to put the worry that every match has to be just, flip crazy stuff, no selling, blah, 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 match comes to an end. This does show you that when they have to, and when they think it works best for the match and the competitors and the storyline, they will make them sell more. They will make them beat each other more to the point that just the smallest chance of hope seems real. The moment that they climbed the ladder, it seemed real. Like, okay, now you have to go for it. Don't just do the whole desperation thing. I'm going to climb the ladder quickly, because we've seen that done to death. I also really like the last spot of the match with that almost awesome Karana that Fenix did to King Cuerno, where he got him through the table with a top rope Hurricane Rana, and that was enough to get King Cuerno to stay down long enough for Fenix to be able to grab the Gift of the Gods Championship. Just, can you say that without just sounding, just epic, I guess? Like, you don't just say Gift of the Gods Championship. You have to say Gift of the Gods Championship. I would love to hear JBL say that. Like, the Gift of the Gods. I'll stop now. So if you have not been able to tell, by far my favorite thing this episode had to be the main event for just all the reasons I mentioned. All of the matches on Lucha Underground are, for the most part, highly athletic and top-notch. So when I talk about them, I want to make sure that I explain why I think it's different than any of the other matches in the show. Because otherwise, every match I'm just going to say it was athletic, there were spots, a lot of kicks, a lot of slapping of the thigh. It's things that are just part of the product. So I want to make sure that whenever I do cover any of the matches, I just point out exactly why it was better or worse or at least different. So now we'd like to know which was your favorite match and or segment of the show. I'd also like to know, what did you think of the original Aztec Warfare match if you saw it? And if not, then once again, maybe it's available online somewhere. I think it's available on El Rey's YouTube channel. If I do see that it's on there, I'll make sure to post that in the description. And before I close this up, I do want to point out that there was actually no post-show scene. I'm used to the fact of seeing, the rolling credits and, okay, now what are we going to get? This episode just ended, and I like that they were just letting you celebrate Phoenix's victory, not just moving on to something else, because that would kind of take the importance away out of the title win, and they just let you go home happy. But you're probably watching at home, so you just went to bed happy. So guys, if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, join the family, listen to the podcast where we talk about WWE every single Tuesday night. Now, if you like what we're doing with the channel, whether it be with the Fight Nights, the Square Roundtables, we're on the road to WrestleMania also, let us know. What do you want to see in the channel? And also would really help us out if you just spread the word. Share us with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, social media. You guys are legitimately the best way that we can grow, and we want to grow alongside you. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. So until next time, thanks for watching, and we will be back with tons more right here on Byte That.